Hello, everybody. So this is part 2 of our series on the May Rodeo Day competition. It's a little bit different from what we usually do because after running the fuzzer for about 12 hours, I've got a number of crashes that I need to submit to their API to get credit for my crashes. Now, for those of you who are watching the recording of this, over on the side here, we've got some bookmarks if you want to jump ahead. And for everybody else, here's a little bit of spoilers on what's going on in this episode. We're going to put together a plan for submitting a whole bunch of crashes to the API. Then we're going to work on setting up ways to configure it to submit things differently in different situations using ARG parts. And then finally, we're going to go in and do some debugging on the differences between curl and the way requests handles things, because I got tripped up on a little bit of it trying to submit forms and files properly. At the end of the video, it just works. We have a working submission script and everything seems pretty good. Like I said, it's a little bit different of a video. It's shorter, and it's also just standard development. But that's something that's very important if you're doing exploitation and doing a lot of fuzzing, because at some point, you may need to write a whole bunch of code to handle all those crashes. In any case, we're going to jump into the past now and take a look at what exactly I did.
Okay, so this is part 2 now, assuming I don't try and do some editing around. And I guess if I do editing, you're not going to hear this at all, are you? In any case, this is part 2 of looking at, switch back over here, the Rodeo Day competition, where we're trying to find a bunch of bugs, injected bugs in real applications. So, in the last episode, I went through a little bit about what the competition is. If you're not familiar with it and actually care, definitely check that episode out, and because I think I did a reasonable job explaining it. So after explaining it, we went through and we did some of this actually getting started with it. So to do that, we actually grabbed, they give you these binaries, it's actually download links right here. And what we're doing is we pulled those down, we got them running, and one of them is a modified version of the libjpeg source code with some number of bugs injected in it. So what we did was we got that built from source, we got it building with AFL, we got it loaded up in AFL, and we did some work to find a good corpus of starting JPEGs so that AFL didn't have to do quite as much work. Now, after letting that run for, I guess a little over 11 hours, turns out we've got about 14 crashes that we can go report to the Rodeo Day competition and get our credit for. So, we're going to start with that. Okay. What are we doing here? So the first thing we have to do is investigate API, make, that's what I'm looking for here, submission script. I'm trying to think if it makes sense for us to also try and build a management system for these. So we've currently got 14 crashes, it says. This looks like a good place to start, at least for this stream. Work this real quick. So, looking at this, it looks like the requests are actually very simple. We send a post here. There's a number of fields we have to fill out. So let's do this real quick. Now, we could just use their curl response, but I'm not sure that's the way I want to do it. Just because I'm lazy. So the reason I'm doing this way is because one, oh, okay, we do have requests installed. I'm a little surprised by that. So I was checking here to make sure that we already had requests because I was expecting it to install it. Sorry about all the coughing. Apparently my allergies are acting up a little bit. It's probably going to mean that this episode is going to be a little short. It's mostly going to just be getting the submission working rather than going in depth into trying to handle anything. So it's unfortunate, but it's where we're at. So what are we doing? We want to make a function to submit. We'll pass in a file name. It should be good enough. So what we're doing here is here, I can show you this part over here. What do I call this thing? Oh, rodeo. And I called this rodeo secret.py. So we're doing it this way because I don't necessarily want to put my API token on the stream. I don't think it actually matters too much. I guess, especially given that we're running this after the fact, like this will be submitted after the fact, I don't think I care too much, but better safe than sorry. Okay. So we're going to do a response is equal to requests.post URL is equal to this thing right here. So we are passing several arguments to it, right? So I assume the input is going to be... Okay, you know what, we're looking this up. Okay. Okay. Where's the content part of the file? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we just put the file in. So we need a challenge ID. An auth token. And an input. Okay. Okay, so it looks like that works reasonably well. So we should have O. Okay, so it looks like that works the way I want it to work. So I need some way to pass in an argument here, don't I? No, we're gonna do this right. And I'm gonna have to look it up to do it right. argument parser. And I'm going to do a p.add argument. We need to give it a name. The name we're giving it is challenge ID. Type is equal to int. I'm trying to think of the right way to do this. I can either pass in all of the arguments on the command line, which could be the right way to do it. Because then I can get rid of this. Yeah, that looks like actually what I wanted to do. I'm going to return this, not print it. Oh, I'm being a moron, aren't I? Okay. Okay. So I do need to specify files, it looks like. Oh, okay. Oh. Right. Well, this is 40. Sweet. I have points now. I mean, it's not a lot of points, but we have points now. Okay. It's not great, but it's at least a start. So we did all of those things. Now what's the next step here? That's interesting. So this tells us that there's at least 19 bugs in this. Okay. So yeah, this was a pretty quick episode, but we got ourselves on the board, so it's good. Like, we have some actual progress getting made, and we still have these fuzzers running. We're still running, we're still getting results. We're going to let this run for a while longer. The next step is we're going to have to try and break out of this. We know we got at most half the bugs, so we're going to have to do some tricks to expand what we're doing here. I'm trying to think of what the best approach here is. So we have two paths forward. So our first is in JPEG S2. So one of the things is we're going to want to set up some sort of symbolic execution of this. I don't know what approach we're going to take, but we do want to do that in order to get more coverage, because basically we want more coverage. Right now we're not getting a ton, although it is worth noting that we still haven't completed a full cycle yet. Like, this is going to be able to run for quite a bit longer on my machine, at least, the way I have it running. So maybe it will just pop out more stuff, but we do want to set up some sort of symbolic execution. I may just take the same approach some of the other competitors are doing and use, QSIM, I guess. But I need to investigate some of those options and figure out exactly which ones are best. Another thing I want to do is look at, what's what I'm looking for here. So one of the things we can do here is we can look at this manually and say, okay, well, we need to do, let's see how we're doing. Like, how many branches are we only taking one side of? And can we go in and manually modify some files? So if AFL can give us, here's a file that gets us to a branch, but not the other side of it, we can open up Ghidra in the source code and figure out why and build a custom one ourselves and throw it in its queue. Whether or not that's a good idea is another question, but it's a thing we can definitely do to get better coverage. So we do this. We also need to do the binaries. And for that, that's the thing I was looking for. So the default thing to do is we could just use the QEMU mode of AFL, and basically everything just drops in the same way that way. I don't know if that's what I want to do, though, given that we're going to be, like, there's going to be some performance hits because of it, and I don't know if it's what I want to do or not. So it's something we're going to have to think on a little bit. But then we probably also want to do, and I'm actually going to break these out. Oh, I didn't realize I could do that in this. Oops. JPEG B2, SQLite, and file. So at some point, next couple episodes, we're going to have to set up all that too. But for now, we're on the board. We're not winning, but we're on the board, and we have results. So next time around, we're going to add some more stuff and get a little bit better. Get some better coverage. Until then, hopefully this is entertaining. I'm not sure if this is going to end up as a standalone episode or not. It's only about half an hour long, so it's possible that we're just going to merge this with the next episode or just edit it. But then again, maybe we'll release this as a standalone episode on its own. Like, this is useful, and it's a single discrete piece of work. So we'll see. I'm gonna have to make that decision. I've got over a month to make that decision in, so we'll see how that goes. In any case, Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye.
Well, that was fun. Like I said, it's not exactly like my normal videos. There's nothing particularly security related here, other than posting my API key on screen a whole bunch of times. But instead, we're doing some pretty standard development stuff that can be very useful when you're managing a whole bunch of crashes, or really a lot of different security tasks. Now, in case you haven't already seen it, we're currently running a competition to try and triage all the crashes that I got. There's a link in the comments down below to a GitHub repo that has all the crashes I got through the entire competition. For anyone who's interested, I've got 3 copies of the Hacking 2.0 ebook bundle from Humble Bundle that I'll be giving away to different people who do write-ups or video recordings of their efforts to try and triage these crashes and figure out which ones are exploitable, and then write an exploit for at least one of them. If you're interested, check it out. And otherwise, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know either in the comments here or over on Twitter, whichever one's going to be easier for you. Bye!